Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 197th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Skyrocket Your Income with Melanie Betz. Now, this is Melanie's second time on the podcast, and we just pulled this up before we got on live when she was last on the podcast because we're like, it's been a minute. She was last on the podcast in episode 59. It's called Blogging and Ad Revenue, and it released on October 20th, 2021. If you don't know who Melanie is an amazing dietitian, and she runs the blog, The Kidney Dietitian. She'll tell you a little bit more about her story as we go on, but she really specializes in kidney stone nutrition. So we're going to be able to have a conversation with Melanie, talk about what has she been up to since we last had a conversation in 2021 and how she's been able to skyrocket her income in online business. So welcome to the podcast, Melanie. Do you want to say a couple words before we get started?
Sure. Thank you, Katie, so much for having me and for that lovely introduction. I cannot believe it's been so long since I've been on the podcast. A lot of things have happened, both personally and professionally, since October 2021. And yeah, I'm just excited to kind of dive into it and give everyone an update about what I've been up to.
Awesome. Yeah, well, let's dive in. Go ahead and update people. What have you been up to since October 20th, 2021, when you just qualified for ad revenue? You've got your blog. You're like, I'm me. What's happened between now and then?
Yeah. So most notably in March, or excuse me, May of 2022, almost exactly 2 years ago, I had twins, which kind of changes everything, both
Yes.
personally and professionally. Um, and so that is kind of the, center of everything that has gone on in my life since then. So it's hard to even think back, honestly, to just getting on Mediavine, like before you get on Mediavine, that's like everything, right? That's your goal, and then you do it, and then there is life after Mediavine. There's still ways to grow. It just gets better
Yep.
after you're on Mediavine. So anyway, I got approved for Mediavine, and that was at the end of 2021. Or
Mhm.
that was when we were on the podcast. But anyway, I was on Mediavine, and really my business just continued to grow. I can't remember exactly the order of things, but since I hit Mediavine, my traffic got up to around 120,000 sessions per month. It has fallen, unfortunately, most recently, perhaps possibly because of the SEO madness that is going on, and partially because I have so many other things going on in my business and life. I haven't been able to post regularly at all. But regardless, I still, even with that fall, I'm at about 88,000 sessions per month, which is still really great. That's still bringing in about over $3,000 a month of passive income from Mediavine. So I certainly cannot complain about that. But anyway, so since and my traffic has grown significantly. And I also have just been able to diversify my sources or my streams of income, if you will, in my business. So I now have a variety of online courses that is actually the biggest percentage of my income. Almost 50% of my income is from my courses. So I have Kidney Nutrition School. That is my favorite course. And that is my patient-facing kidney stone course that really walks people through how to look at their urine test results and really come up with their personalized kidney stone prevention plan, basically. So I have that course, and I also have a dietitian kidney stone training course that is my way to help even more people with kidney stones. I think, we as dietitians, we do what we do because we want to help people, and I have sort of fallen into this world of kidney stone nutrition, and my drive to do everything I do is that I realized how little both dietitians and people know about kidney stone nutrition. And so I feel so lucky that I have this platform where I touch almost 10,000 people a day, between people who come to my site or get an email from me or see something that I posted on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I'm able to help so many people, even though I don't do that traditional one-to-one patient work. So anyway, I have my dietitian kidney stone training, and I also have a variety of other other stone courses, but that dietitian training and my patient-facing kidney stone course are my two biggest courses. I also have dabbled in quite a bit of public speaking since we last met. I had done a little bit at that point, but it doesn't bring in a ton of income. It's maybe 6% or so of my income is public speaking, but it's a really great way to educate people. It's something I'm very passionate about is education. And it's a really great way to just get your name and brand out there as well. So I do a fair amount of public speaking, a little bit of brand work, working on increasing that right now with Amy Gorin in Mastered in
Oh,
Media, which is a wonderful program as well. Um, and what else have I done? A few other e-goods. So just kind of basically since we have spoke, I've been able to diversify my income quite a bit in addition to Mediavine. It's so much so that during my 6-month maternity leave from the University of Chicago, so this was May through November-ish of 2022, all of these passive income streams that I had set up brought in more than what my salary was at the University of Chicago, which is pretty insane because I obviously was
yeah.
doing nothing in terms of like career work during those
Yep.
6 months. I'm doing more work than I had been ever before in my whole life because I had two tiny infants at home. But obviously not a whole lot
Yes.
of work, if you will. And so I left my job at the University of Chicago, and now I'm just a full-time business owner, which was both the easiest and hardest decision I'd ever made. It made perfect sense from a mental health and financial standpoint, obviously. Especially in this season of life with endless doctor's visits. I was literally on the phone for 3 hours this morning, scheduling and moving around different ENT consults now and all this sort of thing. But and the flexibility of mothering two tiny humans. But I still, it was tough because I still love and do miss working in academia and research and that sort of thing. But I've been able to find ways to continue to publish and be involved even when I'm out on my own, which I was really nervous about. So I'm still dabbling in research as much as I can. Yeah, so that was a very long-winded answer. I went on all sorts of tangents, but that's what I've been up to for the last 2 years or so, 2.5 years.
Oh, I love this, Melanie, and I'm so happy for you because we've known each other for a long time. We first met when we were both volunteering with the Healthy Aging Dietetic Practice Group, and then we both fell into the world of blogging. I still can remember being in the Chicago area with you at a Healthy Aging meeting, and when I shared with people, I started a blog called The Geriatric Dietitian, and I would have had no idea what that little blog would have done and how it would change my
Yeah.
career. And then you came along
And mine.
not too long after, started a little blog called The Kidney Dietitian. And who would have guessed during the season where we're both working full-time jobs, volunteering, maybe too much? I don't know. We both have volunteer problems. But who would have guessed that several years later, we both would have online businesses where we don't have to work with clients one-on-one, make passive
Mhm.
income, have left our full-time jobs, and then have flexibility to live the life that you want. And I think, there's so many things that you shared that I thought were amazing. The fact that I liked how you said that there's life after Mediavine, because that is a big goal of bloggers, but Mediavine is just the first thing. From there, it just keeps getting sweeter and sweeter because you grew traffic. You added additional income streams to provide value to people, and then you quit your job. And then you got time freedom to have the flexibility of being home with two young kiddos and just doing what you want to do with your time. So I'm so very proud of you and so excited for everything that you've accomplished. So thank you for
Oh,
sharing.
thank you, Katie. It really is. I feel so lucky, although I know I'm not supposed to say that I'm lucky anymore because I did a lot of work and made a lot of decisions and did a lot of things to get
Yeah.
where I am. But I do really feel so lucky that I have that time freedom and I'm just doing what I love to do. I really
Yes.
it was a big shift.
Yeah.
It was difficult to leave my job because I realized I had a lot of my identity really
Yes.
tied up in working. For me, it was these large academic institutions. I think the prestige of working at the University of Chicago or at Rush, I
Yeah.
think I put a lot of weight in that where I maybe didn't realize that. And so it was so scary to kind of step out on my own and be like, nope, I'm Melanie. I'm the kidney dietitian. Um,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. And you can just do more of what you love and do less of what you don't love. It really feels like I'm kind of cherry picking my career and like just creating a career of exactly what I love to do. So I know I'm not supposed to say it, but I really am lucky that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
to be where I am.
Yeah. And is this something you would have ever imagined that your career would look like?
No, oh my gosh. Like if you would have told me, even when we recorded our last podcast, if you would have said like, Melanie, like you're gonna leave your job, I would have laughed in your face, but like, ha, Katie, there's no way. Or even more so before that, before I even realized like what
Yeah.
blogging and online business could be for dietitians. No, this was never my goal ever at
Yes.
all.
Yeah, we are just so lucky, and I'll say the word lucky, but we are very lucky that we live in a time, we live in a day and age where we can be entrepreneurs, run a business from the comfort of our own homes on our own time, make massive impact and make money. It's such a blessing. And I'll even say with your brand, it's very niche, very specific, but it solves a huge problem. Kidney stones are a huge problem and they cause also a lot of pain. So people don't like if they get them, they never want to get them again. So, Melanie, you are able to help people on a national and even global level in a place where there wasn't a lot of help before. So it's so cool to see how much you've grown and even how you said, like, I'm just Melanie. But you are just Melanie. You are the kidney dietitian and you've established yourself as an authority. You didn't have to work somewhere else to be an authority. You became the authority. So I love everything about that update. Awesome. So let's shift a little bit of gears now and let's talk a little bit about the Blog Boss Mastermind. Now, I shared an episode, I think it was last episode on the podcast called, maybe it was recently. I don't remember the number of the order, but I did a podcast episode all about the Blog Boss Mastermind. And last year you did join the mastermind. It was a year-long program. And I still remember when you applied and I saw your name, I'm like, I was so excited. And then we got on a call, had a discussion. We're like, yes, this program is going to be a great fit for you. So I wonder if you could share with people who are listening, what has joining the Blog Boss Mastermind for the last year done for you?
Yeah. Um, Lots of things. I am so glad that I did. It was worth every penny. It and I was hesitant because I feel like when you hear about masterminds, you hear a lot about like, oh, it helps keep you accountable and helps you, stay on track. And like that is something I need 0% help with generally. Like sometimes like you got to steer me the right way. But like generally like I do what I say I'm going to do to a fault and more, right? Like I um that is not something that I need help with. And so I was always sort of like, well, like, what's being in a group really going to do for me? Right. Um, but you speak so highly, Katie, of masterminds, of your own mastermind that you're in and of yours. And so I was like, all right, like, I love Katie so much. Like, we're gonna see what this is all about. And like I said, I'm so glad that I did because for me, at least, it was so powerful to be able to understand like that other online business owners struggle about whatever it is. Like that sounds really
Yep.
bad, but like just having that sounding board to be like, oh, you're not alone in these wins and these struggles. And like that was so empowering. That imposter syndrome, I think that
Yeah.
dietitians feel all the time, myself included. It really helps just kind of work through some of those mindset issues, as we always say, around like, are you are you doing okay? Like, are you doing good in the world? Like, are you enough
Yeah.
to be doing this? So that's a big thing. The other thing is just really seeing the kidney dietitian as a real business, which I know sounds
Mm.
kind of silly because, even before I joined the mastermind, the kidney dietitian brought in around $100,000 for a year. But like it was always my side hustle, right? It was always this
Yeah.
fun side thing that I did just because I loved it. The University of Chicago was my job, and this was just like a fun thing, and like maybe I'll make $100. Like I remember thinking that, like, yeah, make $100. Like this is fun. Um, uh, and then I learned, oh, you can actually make a living doing this. And I was like, that's cool. And I built it out. But my mind wasn't really there. Like it was,
Yeah.
it was fun. I was making this money and doing all these things that I loved and helping thousands of people, but I really didn't see it as a business and see myself as a business owner. And I do think over just a year, I do see it as a business. And and because I've made that shift, I've been able to think about things more systematically. I've hired people to help me with various tasks, and just helps me think about it in a way that really realizes that this is a thing that I can grow infinitely, like any business, you know? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. I love that. Something
Yeah.
you can grow infinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think ultimately the best thing about being a part of a mastermind is just really having a group of amazing humans that are always there for you to pick you up. And also who get you, right? Like we all, I'm sure, like have wonderful partners and friends and family, who are all wonderful, wonderful humans. But having a group of like-minded people who are in it to support you in your business is an amazing thing. So ultimately, I think
Yeah.
that's the
I love that. I love that. And I love the perspective that you are able to bring to it. It's like, well, I don't need accountability. I got this. But the fact that joining a mastermind gave you things that maybe you didn't even expect. The
Mhm.
community piece, the connections, the sounding boards, the realization of, oh, I'm not alone. But then also the mindset shifts that you've had. And when we have these mindset shifts, it changes the game. It changes how we think about things, about how we show up in our business and how you see the future. Because you are completely right. There is no cap in your business. The only barrier that you're going to experience is going to be you. It's going to be that voice in your head that's like, well, hold up, just Melanie, what
Right.
is going on? But the more that we can break through to that, the more you're going to help people in ways that you still can't even imagine right now. So I love that so, so very much. Now, I would love it if you could share with this because I know that you're like me, you like talking about money. And we titled this, Skyrocket Your Income. So maybe you could share with people a little bit about, what you'd made before and then what you made after joining
Yeah.
Mastermind.
So I looked at the numbers and a rough estimate of what I made the 12 months prior to joining the Blog Boss Mastermind was around $105,000 of income. And then the last 12 months, since the blog just is ending this month, the mastermind is just ending this month, I made about 210. So double basically.
I love that. And when you share those numbers, I'm like, that doubled. That is amazing. And in 2022, um you were not working, right? You were full-time entrepreneur at that point.
I
So yeah,
was doing,
that
except
yeah.
taking care of babies
And taking care of babies,
and
of
trying to
course.
stay alive.
Of course. Of course. But I hope what people are hearing is that you set up a business that gave you time freedom. I mean, it would
Mhm.
have been a whole different game if you were working a full-time job right now. I actually
Mhm.
would hate that for you.
I I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough having twins with my current situation. I cannot imagine. Um, yeah, having to like go to work and put on real clothes every day. That'd be tough.
Yeah. 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 So you were able to skyrocket your income over the last year, double your income from joining a mastermind with something that you're like, okay, Katie, I know you say they're awesome. I'm not sure, but you joined and it was incredible. And I have to say, this last cohort of the mastermind was so incredible. I'm actually wearing I don't know if you can see it, I'm wearing my Arizona shirt.
Oh,
We met in person twice for these in-person retreats that we do, which are so
the best
powerful.
part. Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. The best part is these retreats. And so the first one was in Oregon. And Melanie, what was your favorite part about the Oregon retreat?
Wine.
I knew that. So you may or might not know this, but Oregon is has some amazing wineries. So of course we had to hit up lots of wineries for Melanie because she loves wine so much.
It was also my
We
birthday.
yeah, we were able to do some fun things. We also went to Crater Lake. It was
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It was so fun. It was like leveling up in business, also relaxing. We had yoga and just having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just recently had our mastermind in Phoenix, Arizona, which was
Mhm.
like, I just all I can say is amazing because they are the food, the experience, the leveling up, the breakthrough, all the things. So yeah,
Yeah, the in-person events are really the best part because first of all, it's just so exciting to meet these women like that you've been talking with daily at this point in person. So that's just very special. And who feel like truly best friends, even though you may have just met them, and that you've known them your whole life. But like the power of like sitting down together and like talking about your struggles and successes over the past 6 months or years and kind of having all of those different people all come together and think like, all right, like what's the next step for you in your business or what makes sense or what doesn't make sense and is just like so cool. Like there's nothing quite like that. I have a secret next step that I'm taking in my business that I decided to do when we were together just this February. So just a couple months ago. But this particular thing, it's still secret, but I'm like, this is something I've been thinking about for years, and I'm so excited for this next step in my business. And I never, ever, ever would have done that without getting the green light from Katie and from the other women, to say like, yep, Melanie, it's fine, you can do this, and giving me that encouragement to say like, yeah, this makes sense, do it, go. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're saying that, it made me think about how business is made up of levels. Like there's different levels. When we first start, it's a certain level. But then as we continue to grow the business, we start making money. Maybe we leave our full-time job. We keep building traffic. We keep building income streams. And I think for people who are maybe just getting started, they're like, it could be easy to look at someone and be like, I can never do that. But it really is just one foot in front of the other. And as long as you're doing it right, you have the right guidance and you're not, because you can easily spend your time like doing the wrong things. But if you spend your time strategically, it just continues to snowball. And all of a sudden you have this beast of a business with multiple streams of income. And it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, I get messages from dietitians fairly often like, oh my gosh, your story is so inspiring. How did you get there? And I always want to be like, first of all, like, I'm not that cool. Like, I'm just Melanie. Like you can do this too. I promise. Like, there's nothing special about me. Um, but but I think it's overwhelming, because you hear like this podcast, right? Like you hear how much money I made and like all these cool things I'm doing, and it's so overwhelming. And I guess I would want listeners to know, like, I felt and do feel the same way. Like I look at other dietitians and I think, oh my gosh, there's no way I could get there. Or if I would have been listening to this podcast myself 3 years ago, I would have been like, there's no way, like that's not me. But you just have to start somewhere. So don't have your goal to be like this. I mean, do have your goals like pie in the sky, but like like break that down into actionable steps that you can do this month or even today to get going. And you'll get there eventually. You just have to keep doing it. Something that Katie, you say a lot that I like to remind myself is like, you can't fail. Like you just need to pivot and change, right? Like the thing that's going to set maybe me apart from other people is that I didn't give up and I just kept doing the thing. Um, and eventually it works out, right? Like, sure, some things haven't gone my way, but I didn't say like, oh, screw it, I'm done. Like I'm a failure. I can't do this. Like I was like, all right, that didn't work. Like, let's focus on this or let's change it and like let's move on. And so, but that can be really, really tough, really, really tough. Lots of tears. I'm a crier.
Same.
um, uh, and having a group of people to help you in those hard times that we all go through is really, really powerful and lovely to have.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that's probably a piece I don't talk about probably enough about why I love masterminds so much. For me, the mastermind, I mean, it's got to be the right one. There's a right fit for everyone at every season. And that's okay if everyone's in different spots, what I'm trying to say. But for the masterminds I've been in, the reason why I started the Blog Boss Mastermind is that it was so powerful being around amazing humans who saw things in me that I could not see in myself, who pushed me to do big, amazing things. And my life has radically changed in ways that I'm not even able to share at this point. And it's not even about the business. It's about my life. It's about my family. It's just these things wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those amazing, amazing humans. So I feel like sometimes we join a mastermind for like the business strategic purposes, which is lovely. It's a tax deduction. It's a business expense. You're learning skills for your business. But I think the piece that we don't expect is how much it's going to change our lives in that like the big feeling kind of way. Any sense. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And I
yeah,
think that I'm going through all the people that were in the mastermind last year, and I think everyone would agree about, your point. I think everyone's lives were changed for the better,
yeah,
as a result of hanging out for the last year.
yeah, yeah. And I love everything I do in my business because I have the privilege to build a business where if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. Everything about my business, but I will say the mastermind is my favorite part of business because of it's the lives change piece that I just love so much.
Mhm.
So what would you say for people who are thinking about joining the Blog Boss Mastermind because doors are currently open. It's very small, it's very exclusive. We don't let a lot of people in. It's a year long, but what would you say for those who are listening to this and they're like, oh gosh, I think I want to do that. What words would you have for them?
I would say do it. Like if anything that I just said resonated, if you think that you want to grow your business, like if you're happy where you are, then it's probably not the best fit for you. But if you really do want to take the next steps and you are ready to grow your business and you're in a place where that is your goal, something you want to do. I feel like I just said the same thing 17 times the same way. Um, But if that is something that you would like to do, I think there's no hesitation. Do it. Again, it's worth every penny. It is an investment, but also that means that you're gonna invest your time in it. Like when we invest our money, then we're gonna pay attention and we're gonna do the work, and really make it worth it. And really like it's not so, technically, you look at my numbers and yes, the mastermind paid for itself in the increased income that I had, revenue that I had, but like the change in my mindset and like I'm going to go ahead and say mental health piece of it and like happiness and confidence in making the right decisions in my business, that's priceless.
Yeah.
So I would say do it.
Yeah.
If it sounds like something you're interested in, do it.
Yeah. Thanks, Melanie. And I love that. I love the priceless pieces because you are so right. There's, yeah, big picture there. Awesome. So for anyone who is interested in the Blog Boss Mastermind, if you go to katiedodd.com, you can find the application. It is application based only. Well, actually, let me take that back. No, yes, that is correct. By the time this airs, the application will be live. So pretty much, I open it up to to the mastermind students first, and then I open it up to the platinum students in the blogging accelerator program, and then I open it up to the public if there are spaces left. By the time this drops, there should still be some room for applications, and that will be live on Wednesday when this episode goes live. So katiedodd.com. And the applications, just so anyone knows, what we will do is if it's the right fit, we'll get on a call, and it's a super no pressure call. Super no pressure. I promise I'm not super salesy. It's really
Katie's
is
not
just
a
the
very
best
high
fit.
pressure person.
No.
You
I'm
know.
just over here like, I want to help you change your life. I'm not like, I want your money. We're looking for lives changed. So awesome. So
Yeah.
before we wrap up, could you tell people a little bit more about where they can find you online?
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram at the Kidney Dietitian. My website is thekidneydietitian.org. And you can also find me on Facebook, the Kidney RD. But Instagram and my blog are definitely the two places that you really want to check me out. So thekidneydietitian.org and Instagram at the Kidney Dietitian.
Awesome. And you want to tell them about your podcast? Because you're a podcaster
Yeah,
now
oh yes,
too.
absolutely. I almost forgot. That's another thing that came out of the mastermind. They forced me to start a podcast. That's not the right words. They encouraged me to start a podcast that I'd been thinking about doing for quite some time. So yes, I started a podcast on the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast, which has been super fun. I love podcasting actually. I just love like there's zero pressure and like you can kind of just talk to yourself or to a guest if you have one on. So yeah, so definitely check out the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. And also, I know that Katie is an affiliate for my dietitian kidney stone training. And so, if you are at all interested in learning about kidney stones, I'm obviously biased, but I think every dietitian should know about kidney stones because more people have kidney stones than diabetes. Fun fact, we all know about diabetes, but we know nothing about kidney stones. You can check that out. So if you just head to my website, thekidneydietitian.org, and go to shop there, you'll see all of my different courses, including my dietitian training. I'll also include a coupon for listeners. So if you use the coupon code Katie Dodd, you could get 30% off the dietitian training. And Katie will put her affiliate link in the show notes. So then that can be tracked back to her as well. So
Absolutely.
everyone can learn about kidney stones.
Love that. And honestly, I remember the first time I learned about kidney stones was at Fancy years ago. Were you I don't remember, but it was like so incredible. I'm so fascinated about kidney stone nutrition because it really is one of those things that we didn't learn in school. But like you said,
Yeah.
more people have kidney stones than diabetes, and we're like, we know all about the diabetes. So, anyways, it's an amazing course. It's a super reasonable price. You get CEUs, and thank you for giving our listeners 30% off. I didn't know you were going to do that.
Surprise.
Awesome. So go follow Melanie online. She is incredible. Continue to watch her journey because I know that she's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. So, I guess before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
No, I would say my parting words are going to be, and I always say this, like if you're at all interested in starting a nutrition blog, do it. Like there, just get started. You know, people are always like, oh, like what's your best advice? And my best advice is to stop that perfectionism and just get started. Because you could spend literally years thinking through exactly the right niche, exactly the right colors, exactly the right Instagram handle. Like just get started. You can change everything. Like that's what's cool about business is you can like mess up and like fix it and like pivot and shake and like, you can you can fix things later. Just get started because that's the hardest part. Just getting started and doing it. I will never forget how scared I was to start selling. The first thing I sold was an e-cookbook for $20, 1995. And the thought of asking someone to pay $20 for something I made was terrifying. Like I was so afraid, and thank goodness I did because that actually wasn't that scary. And a lot of people were very excited to pay $20, and I helped a lot of people. And then that gave me the courage to offer my course and then, and get on Mediavine and like all and just kind of move along. So my advice is just do it.
Love that. Just do it. Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for joining us on the podcast today. I always love talking to you. Wish you the best of luck. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Katie.
Isn't Melanie the best, you guys? It's so wild to see all of the things that have happened between now and the last time that she was on the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. It's really amazing, and I hope that each and every one of you found it inspirational and that you are walking away from today's episode with, yes, I'm gonna start. Yes, I'm just gonna do it. Because the journeys that I've shared with you guys, the journey that Melanie shared with you, this has all been less than 5 years. Less than 5 years from this idea of we're going to start blog businesses to starting these businesses, growing out streams of income, helping so many people leaving our full-time jobs and have these amazing flexible lives that I know we both entirely love. So I hope that you got so much inspiration. Be sure to follow Melanie because again, she's amazing. And for those of you who are listening who are interested in the Blog Boss Mastermind, I want you guys to go to katiedodd.com. Don't overthink it. Go to the website, click on the link to apply. Again, it is application based only. It is a very small group, but if you are even thinking about it, if you have that little tingling in your stomach of like, oh, maybe I should, like Melanie said, just do it. The mastermind does start on May 1st, 2024. If you are listening to this later, if you go to katiedodd.com, I will reopen the wait list for the mastermind. So that way, regardless of when you're listening to this, you can get on the wait list for when we open up. We only open up once a year, and that's why this time is so special. So very grateful for Melanie for coming on the episode, for sharing her amazing story, her kind words about being someone in the mastermind herself, and her amazing testimonial of being able to skyrocket her income through joining a mastermind. So thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. I feel like there's something else I need to say. I'll say it again. Go to katiedodd.com. You also can see the tickets for Dietitian Side Hustle Live. I know I talked about that recently. I feel, yes, I did. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a little scatterbrained right now. I feel like I'm very busy, lots of balls in the air, but it's all fun stuff, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for all of you for listening to the podcast, and we are getting so close to the 200th episode. Totally wild. Just a few episodes away. So thank you to those of you who have been here since the beginning, and for those of you who joined the party very recently, or maybe even those of you who just listened to this episode because you saw Melanie was on it. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much, and have the very best week. Bye, guys.